Walking steep just makes it hard to push it. When you go and soothe yourself, they'll hate it, but not for me. Got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. Everybody wants to cause a problem. Self-love isn't pleasing if they got them. Try and change it for their liking, hold up, it's not for me. Got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. We don't care what you think of us, and we don't care what you call enough, 'cause we the ones telling you what you need. You wonder what to say to them, just call it quits and leave it then. They're the ones making the walking so steep. Talk to people and they'll try to shush it. Walking steep just makes it hard to push it. When you go and soothe yourself, they'll hate it, but not for me. Got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. Everybody wants to cause a problem. Self-love isn't pleasing if they got none. Try and change it for their liking, hold up, it's not for me. Got the good weird bug in my heart, gonna use it. I might care what you think of me, and I might be usher to me, but I cannot be telling me what I need. When you know what to say to me, I'll just sit and listen with you.
All right. Hello, everybody out there on the internet. Welcome to the Ground Report. Sorry for the slight delay. You know how this wild, wild west of the internet can be. How this can be, yeah. Just making sure I was going live in the right places. I barely figured it out. So, but I did, right? It's what we call FitFun. Maybe you know the acronym. But hello and welcome. I'm Jesse Gillenwalters. I am an employee here at Entrepreneur. Namely, I am the indie founder, kind of the head indie founder coach, and an Indie X technician at our agency as well. And I also help put together trainings and run the community and things like that. Well, Gracie runs the community, but I participate in the community as much as possible. So, welcome in. Now, real quick, what are you looking at? What's going on here? You know, what are we doing here? This is an Indies Live, and an Indies Live is it's our weekly. It is our weekly live stream series that happens on Wednesdays, and the first 3 of the month, your first 3 weeks of the month are Q&A sessions / audit sessions where you can ask us whatever questions you want. And the 4th one of every month is a ground report where we come to you with a little kind of mini lesson, mini tutorial, or a little bit of a case study on something we've been working on, kind of behind the scenes, that we can report to you kind of quickly, where we don't have to go through the pomp and circumstance of creating a whole training, and we can just get you this useful information as quickly as possible on something kind of new that we've been messing around with. So I am here today to talk about membership creation, like a Patreon sort of situation. And I'm going to give my whole rundown on that. But yeah, let me just give you some context about what you're going to see here. Basically, here's the story, right? I decided to whip up a membership site. Part of that, my motivations for that, well, I guess let me clarify what exactly I mean when I say membership site. When everything I'll be talking about will be talking about a subscription-based membership area for your fans. So if you know Patreon, that's pretty much what I'm talking about. Fans can buy a recurring kind of tier of content or some kind of exclusive area or experience that you're offering through a sort of gated content area that they subscribe by paying on a monthly basis to gain access to. And so, Patreon is kind of the obvious leader in this, way of doing business, right? Very easy to hop over there, strike that up, set up your tiers, and start collecting payments over there. And that is what I wanted to do. Part of my impetus behind doing that, to be totally honest, I was reluctant to do it, right? I don't love Patreons as a fan. That's not how I enjoy supporting artists I like. There's people who I love that I'd rather buy, a new vinyl from them every year than pay them to see kind of a different set of posts, on a different wall. And that was kind of my kind of curmudgeonly approach to Patreon. So I kind of vowed to not do it to my fans. But I was like, well, why am I getting in the way of that myself? It's not for me, it's for my fans. So I was like, well, this year has been monetarily pretty successful for me so far. I could probably break even or profit if I wanted to this year, if I really wanted to, not invest as much and just hone in on returns. And part of that was like, well, maybe I should think about a membership thing. It's easy for me to set up. It doesn't really cost me anything to set up, right? It's all digital. I don't have to go buy some new thing or like put in a ton of marketing spend to make this happen. I can set it up in a day, and if it flops, I can change it, right? Or I can delete it, or if people are, there's like backlash, I can just delete it, right? It was like, why wouldn't I just try this? So, I tested my fans on it, and I was like, hey, would you be interested in this? And it seemed to be well received. So I was like, okay, just try this out, because best case scenario, now you're making recurring monthly revenue. Worst case scenario, you change it, or worst case scenario, you delete it. And in between that scenario, there's countless ways for me to tweak and revise and get more data and things like that. So I kind of, I'm coming from a place with this lesson about like, I was curmudgeonly about membership sites. I didn't want to do it. I didn't care about it. Sounded really boring to me and kind of skeevy. And I think that's important, because you're about to see kind of how I came around and how, even despite that bad taste in my mouth, I went ahead and did it. And I hope that's inspiring for you for a number of, maybe other things you're considering similarly. So I'm going to go through, that's kind of what's going on here with my membership, kind of the background. Now, what I want to talk about is, why I made it the way I did. And I'm about to show you a number of things. I'm about to show you the membership I made, the inputs to it. I'm going to show you kind of the marketing materials, so to speak. I'm going to show you how I built it, how the things relate to each other, and you're going to see kind of the ins and outs of everything. But, I want to start by just kind of showing what exactly it is and what's going on here. So I didn't want to run through Patreon, and a lot of you probably know automatically why I didn't want to do that. Now, the part of that is there's many pieces to that. So if you're familiar with Indepreneur at all, you know that you lose a lot of things when you go to something like Patreon, right? You lose the ability to pixel your traffic and have that traffic be tracked in Facebook Business Manager, where it's very much usable in terms of retargeting and custom audiences and lookalikes and things like that, and training our pixel. So we missed out on that by using Patreon. Patreon does a revenue share. So it's either a 5%, 8%, or a 12% cut for their highest tier, or based on their tiers of offerings. Now, the highest tier of Patreon is 12%, and what I ended up doing basically equates to that tier, because I can do whatever I want with the way I made it. So if we're looking at that 12% tier as the model, then you only need to make, and let's see here, how can I make this happen? Doing some quick math here. Yeah, you only need to make about $200 in monthly revenue for it to be more worth it purely monetarily to not use Patreon. So if you're at all in a place where you could have 20 monthly subscribers at $10 a month or something, right off the bat, using what I'm about to show you, which is member space over Patreon, is more economically efficient, before we even get into the fact that there's endless benefits to doing it. So For one, the revenue share really kneecaps your progress, because as soon as you have $1,000 monthly revenue, now you're paying $120 a month versus 20 on MemberSpace. 21.25 is the full price on MemberSpace. But as soon as you hit that 200 mark, you are doing better than Patreon, and you have endless customizability and features, however you want to do that. So one is the pixel tracking, couldn't do that. Two is the revenue share, which the more that, the bigger it grows, the less and less money, the more and more money you pour over to Patreon, and we can just totally avoid that. So that's that. The customizability on Patreon, obviously it's like very in the box. You have to play by their rules and do their stuff. You can set things up however you want on your own website, on your own URL, right? And so you also get the, with iOS 14, you get domain verification abilities and things like that, with Patreon, doing marketing to Patreon is like impossible. All you can do is click over to pages and cross your fingers. With this, it's like you have full access and visibility. You have Google Analytics overlaid on that and stuff. And I actually haven't checked to see if Google Analytics is integrated with Patreon or not. But you get my point, I'm sure. So those are just a few benefits, right? And which is why I wanted to do it myself. And also, I mean, it's a branding thing as well. It's like getting people used to your site and knowing if I go to basicprinter.com, the store, I can find the store, I can find the content, I can find shows, I can find this membership thing, and I'm just used to how that feels, how that looks, and how I interact with it, and that all is just binding them tighter to your world. Sending them off to Patreon kind of breaks the experience a little bit. So there's lots of reasons that you will want to build it yourself, and just making sure you own 100% of what's going on. No emails through Patreon, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously. I'm unsure actually of that, but obviously you don't have those tight email options that you have if you get them right into your drip, for example. So that's kind of the impetus behind this and where I'm coming from with all this. So now I just want to show you, what I'll start by saying now is like the bones of what I did here. I'm just kind of walk you through my membership, what it looks like, what it consists of. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you the tools of it, and it's very simple. It is Squarespace with MemberSpace. So Squarespace is already my website builder, and so all I had to do in here was basically build the membership area in my Squarespace like I would anything else. So if we hop over here, we can see that if I click pages in my site here, I have a little area, a little folder here called Printerville. That's the name of the membership. And in here, I have all the member pages. I have the login page, the sign up page. I have the confirmation page for the sign up. I have the login. I have the hub where they can see all of their benefits. And then I have the benefit pages here. And that's all I really had to do, like content and build wise, was just open the website builder I already know how to use, make some pages, make them, route them the correct way. And that was that. And so I'll go into some of these pages soon. Actually, I'll go into all of them right now, I guess, actually. So let's do that. So we can see first I have a sign up page here, a little bit of a sales page. I explain, got a headline. I got stuff up here about just explaining what's up. They can log in with this little nondescript link if they are here for some reason on accident and trying to get in. And then I have my tiers broken down here. I have the prices. I got benefit bullet points of what they get. And there's a $1, $5, $10 a month option. And I think I have it on my itinerary here to explain the pricing more later on. I will explain that kind of after I run through this all. And if they go down, they can see kind of each of these benefits are expanded on a little bit more. First dibs on everything. So I guess I'll explain these benefits. $1 a month. This is kind of just a gestural tier, kind of a tripwire thing to say, hey, spend $1 a month. You're just here to support. You get your name in all future physical releases, and you're first in line for all important news releases and merch drops. Basically, this puts them in a queue where they get at least a week ahead on every merch drop, every important announcement, every kind of video, every piece of content. They just are first in line. They are my Ascension 2 kind of people. They will get everything. $5 a month. The addition here is that they get access to these weekly studio journals. Every day, at the end of the day, every night, I write a little journal entry about, like, here's what I did today in the studio, or maybe I didn't work and I had some other, I was hanging out with Gracie and Michael and I had a bunch of, thoughts then or something, or maybe we saw a show and there was something to mention there. Just kind of writing my thoughts out in there. And if there's a relevant, like, export of a song that I'm working on, I'll put it in there as well. So they get some song demos and stuff like that. $10 a month, they get the studio journals, first in line for everything, and they get forever 30% off merch discount code. And to be totally honest with you, this third tier kind of hobbled this together, and I'm going to kind of explain why that happened a bit in a moment. There's probably something better I can include here, and I'm determined to figure that out, but what I'll say is that this is my most subscribed to tier, so that's also cool. You can see these benefits broken down here, first dibs on everything, and then they can join the tier that has that. The weekly studio journals, they can join that. And then the merch perks forever, join that third tier. So this is my sales page, pretty straightforward. Yeah, and that's kind of that. When they sign up and they pay, they get to this confirmation page, and it just kind of gives them a little rundown. Hey, this is how you access all your stuff and where you ought to go. And then they can enter Printerville. So if they do that, they'll wind up in here. And it just says, hey, welcome in. If you're, here's where you access your things. If you're in Fantastic and you click any of these, you'll be able to go there. If you're in Basic, the only thing you'll be able to click is this. If I click this, I don't know if it'll show this in the Squarespace editor, but it'll say, it'll just take me there. Yeah, so I'll get to kind of the functionality of how this all works together when I get to the member space piece. But I'll start by just going through these Squarespace pages. I shouldn't have clicked that button. Now I gotta let things load. So this is the hub world, right? If they're the good tier, they get access to the first two buttons. If they're the basic tier, they get just that first button, etc., etc. And at any moment, they can upgrade by clicking these buttons if they are either in the basic or good tier. So giving them opportunities to and clear ways to know, hey, if you want to be able to click this button, just upgrade up here. So that is that, and then I can look at sort of each of these tiers if you like. So we have the first dibs page for the basic tier peeps, and in here, this is just the kind of content queue where it's like, look, if you're here, you'll get the latest news here. If you want to check back, you'll see all the new stuff in here first before everyone else. And first thing here was I put up these test pressings for sale. There's only 4 of these, so they're very rare, obviously. If people are into these, they want to get in line first. So this is up here, and they're able to do that and buy these before anyone else. Still not on the store. Studio Journal looks like this. I have these entries demarcated by dates and images, and if you click into any one of these, you'll see kind of my crazy musings, and you'll see this one. I had a song export down here. I try to do at least one song bounce a week, and you can see we have some interaction down here as well, which is cool. The merch perks page is simply a discount code, and this changes every month so that they don't get passed around, to where if it was just this one code all month or all year, people might pass it around and start using it. So it changes every month, and that's pretty much that. So it's a pretty simple build. In this case, I honed in on kind of 3 main benefits. I split those out, and obviously each benefit is entailed in the next tier. And it was just a matter of kind of setting those pages up. At the top of each page, you can see a little directory here that can hop over to other pages. So no matter where they're at, they have this little directory in case they want to go to another area. And they never feel lost there. And that's pretty much what it's like. And they log in on here as well. This would show a different, maybe I'll log out so we can see that. So that is the content side of the membership. It's like in terms of the actual things that comprise the membership. It's all just in Squarespace there. Now, actually rigging those pages together so that certain things are not accessed by certain tiers, and how do they, pay and sign up for tiers, and how do they log into these areas, that's all happening in MemberSpace, which I can walk through now. So if we hop to this tab, we can see that this is my MemberSpace site or account. So I'm clicking in here. And it's pretty dang simple. It is a little quirky to figure out. Once you kind of figure out how it all works, it kind of clicks. But it is pretty straightforward, and they do make it pretty darn easy. So if basically in MemberSpace, what you do is you define your tiers, and then within each tier you say, this tier gets you access to these URLs, and this tier gets you access to these URLs. And we can see that by clicking member plans up here. I created my 3 tiers at these different prices, and I actually have a test plan that doesn't show up so that I can hop in and mess around as if I were a user. And if we click like edit plan on the good tier here, we can see that I can do all sorts of things. I can put a free trial, and then I can tell MemberSpace which of my kind of URL slugs to protect by this tier. So this tier can't access the merch perks option because that's only the next tier up, for example. And then you can set some basic redirects here for like once they log in, they go to this area, or once they sign up, they go to this area. And it's really that simple, which is cool. Now, actually, first thing we want to do is set up our member pages. So this is the first thing you do is all those pages I just showed you. We just, after we connect MemberSpace to our Squarespace, which happens in the customize area, I believe it's in the general options. No, it's not. It is somewhere else. It's connected websites. Yeah, maybe it's in edit site. Yeah, which platform is your website on? Squarespace. And then I think this is a bit of an onboarding thing. Yeah, if we were to connect a new one, it would walk you through all this, and then that's how you you get it connected to your website. And then after you do that, MemberSpace is able to see, okay, I see all your URLs in your Squarespace there. Then they'll show up in your or actually you type them in your member pages here. And if I wanted to like protect a new page, I would just say, hey, this one, ground report. And I would say, hey, basic and good have access to this ground report page, and I can add that. And it's that simple. So it's basically taking these pages that you create on your website, loading them into MemberSpace, and then assigning them to the different member plans. And that's pretty much how you kind of create your member area there. Now, the only thing left to do there is just get the login set up and the signups set up. And to do that, I believe it's in, where is the dang thing? Maybe it's in, it's in member plans. And what you do is you get the sign up link here. And so if I want to get a sign up link for this good tier, it'll just give me this code, and I can copy that, and I can put it on, for example, on my sign up here. I just have these buttons, and I have the links associated with them here. So I took this sign up link for good, and I put it on this good tier button. And when people click it, I guess we can simulate that right now. Right there. So if I click this, it'll open a little pop-up, and it'll, say, start to create your account. And then on the next page, it'll have me type in my payment info. And then I would enter my card number, subscribe now, and based on the redirect I set up, it would take me to that hub page, and it would take me to that sign up page, and then or that confirmation page, should I say, which explains like, hey, this is how it all works. Thank you. and then they would be able to access their stuff. And I can also set this branding. I set these colors and these fonts as well. And that can be done in the customize area here in the look and feel area. So really you make your member tiers, and then it spits out these sign up links where you can put wherever on your site. So I have them here on these buttons. I have them here on these buttons. And then in the actual area here, I have it on those two buttons, those kind of upsell type buttons here. And so that's very simple. Very, very simple. Now, that's how you get kind of sign up stuff on there. Now, the only other thing is the login area. And I'm trying to remember where that is. I believe it's might be in customize, and then it might be in, this is one thing about members. I mean, it's like anything else. You got to hop in and get to know it. And there are a couple, there are a handful of moving parts. And I definitely was clicking around being like, where is that thing? A bunch. But it's, it's like anything else. I believe it's in connected websites. Nope. I'm not going to spend too much time finding this. Oh, add sign up fields. No, this adds more elements to your sign up, I believe. And enable I want to know where the sign of the login page is. I don't recall, I'll be honest. But the point being, somewhere in here, they give you a login embed, and you can put that on your main login page. So on my login page here, this is just a login embed. And again, when I log out, it just shows this, and I can log in with my account, and then it'll take me into the hub world based on the redirects I set up. And I'm sorry for this whiteout thing. I don't know what's going on. Refresh. But basically, you need to just intuit, like, these are my pages. These are the pages that represent the content of the membership. This is how I'm going to organize them in tiers. And, I'm going to make them public on my site, but not clickable. So, like, they're public pages. Like, someone could manually type in basicprinter.com/firstdibs and get to that page. But MemberSpace will sense you're not a member, and it won't load that page, or it'll redirect them to the sign up and say you can't go here, or your member, you need to upgrade to get there. It'll sense all of this based on the login. So how I have this set up is that I have the membership in a menu item up here, and it takes them to the sign up page, and people that want to log in can go here, or they've already gotten that onboarding information, so they know the URL to go to, and they'll click here and they can log in. And I guess I'll just log in and show you what happens. And I'll log in, and it takes me to the hub world, and it'll white out because, I don't know, it's freaking out for some reason. I call it the hub world personally. And okay, it takes me to the hub world, or it's supposed to. But if I want to go there, I just click access my tier, and it'll take me there. Now, okay, it's just getting a little freaky because I'm in the edit mode and I'm trying to use it as if it were normal. But what I'm trying to show you here, and I guess I could just stop being lazy and do it normally. So let us, I'm here. I click the Printerville link, took me to the sign up. I said, I'm already logged in, or I want to log in. I click that little thing, and then I click access my tier. And I'm pretty sure the test plan doesn't have access to fantastic tier stuff. So if I click this, it should be like, nope. Yeah. So it shows it for a second, kicks me back and says, you need to upgrade in order to get that. So that's how it enforces kind of the protected pages. And again, the look and feel is just very native. You can make it sit right on your site perfectly how you want. It's just really elegant in that way. And what I'll tell you is that, you might be looking at this being like, God, I gotta learn all this crap and da da da. It truly took me from point zero to totally complete. It took me 8 hours. It took me 8 hours to think about, like ideate, like for 2 hours, like, well, I guess I would have this tier and that tier and that tier, and what would the pricing be and what would it include? I did all that, and then I went and built it on Squarespace, and then I went and integrated MemberSpace, and it took 8 hours. So as a pro, I'm not, obviously, I'm not a god amongst men or anything, but I've been doing digital marketing for a bit now. I do have more aptitude for this stuff, so you might want to take that in mind. But I was approaching this totally new tool and struggling with it and fighting with it, and even with that, it was an 8-hour build. So hopefully that's enlightening to you, that if you want to do something like this, let's say you're you're half as fast as me. 16 hours, that's a week building your membership done. And the benefits, I've already explained, So that is sort of the square, that's my membership entirely. What's going on there. That's how I built it on Squarespace, how I integrated the MemberSpace layer, and how, it actually comes to fruition and all that. So I guess I want to talk about now just the pricing that I went with. And actually, I guess I'm just going to tell you a little story about how this launched and stuff. So there's kind of two phases to what I'm about to explain here. My initial membership, it had 3 tiers, same 3 tiers, and it had more benefits than you saw. I had a $5 tier, $10 tier, and a $15 tier. And no real, I could have, I kind of, if I were to do it again, I would have put more market research into this, and really nailed down like what would you be interested in, what prices would you pay, and things like that. And so I went with 5, 10, and 15, and I think the first tier had a Discord and an AMA that I would kind of use. I'd host it on a page. People could ask questions, and I'd answer them on a daily basis. And that was the first tier. Second tier was the studio journals with, what was the other thing there? A monthly live stream. And that only they got. And then the third tier was they got access to these surveys that like would steer the ship of Basic Printer a little bit more by saying like, hey, do you want this shirt design or that shirt design? They would get first say. And also you get the merch discounts up there, I believe. Maybe I had the live stream actually on the $15 tier and the merch perks on the $10 tier. That's actually what it was. Point being, I ran with that and I launched it, and I think I got 15 or so, maybe less, maybe 12 patrons, and it was representing like $100 in revenue or something. And I just hit my Ascension segment with that offer. I just went to people who had ordered twice. That's the only people I told about this, and I got all my patrons from there. And then I launched it to the rest of my list, first to my affirmation and then to the rest of the list. And I think I got no signups after that. And it made me a little self-conscious. And, I had the 12 people in the membership, and it was like the Discord was not very, popping. Not many responses on the survey, not many questions in the AMA. Like, I didn't have enough people there to really get the cogs turning on these benefits. And it also just kind of illuminated, like, the uselessness of some of these. It was like, all right, the Discord and the AMA, they're kind of one and the same, right? Like, you could hop in the Discord, ask me a question, and I would respond. And all this aside, you could probably just send me an email and I would respond to it, right? So I quickly was like, all right, maybe I was just kind of bloating this up to try to make it valuable without really thinking about what was going on. Same thing with the surveys. And then the live stream, it was like, there's just not enough people in this tier for the live stream to even be worth it. There'd be like 2 people in here at most. So after about 3 weeks of running that, I came clean to them and I was like, look, I think we can all sense that some of this is not really what we need to be doing, right? And I said as much. I sent an email that was like, look, the Discord's dead. I can read the room. The Discord's dead. The AMA is kind of useless. This is kind of useless. So I am changing this up for you all. And I sent this email to my members, and I was like, I'm going to cut out all the fat of this. I'm going to hone in on what's important, and we're going to start here. And as I get more feedback and as you want more things, we'll look about adding some more tiers or adding on to tiers and things like that. But for now, we're just going to do what makes sense and work on that. And in response to that email, I actually had people, or let me say first, so I cut out all this, and now it's about half as big. So I'm lowering the prices. Now I have a $1 tier, $5 tier, $10 tier. If you were paying $15, you're now paying $10. If you're paying $10, you're now in this tier. I only lost like $15 of monthly revenue or something in making those changes. And in response to that email, I actually had people upgrade that were currently paying $5. They were like, ooh, well, now I'm just going to pay $10. I think it just sorted things out better for them. So all of this to say, I just want to tell you this first story of like, I launched this and it kind of really didn't hit the way I thought it would. And in being on it, like reading the room and being like, okay, what could I have done here? And maybe how could I have gotten ahead of this? And then rectifying that and being honest with the people that paid, I was kind of rewarded for that. And so once that happened, I went back to, I had it all set up. And let me just say, having that breakthrough moment with like, I'm going to change the membership, super simple in member space to be like, all right, I got to change all this stuff. Super simple for me to go into Squarespace, be like, all right, I'm hiding this page that's no longer relevant, cutting this out, and then going into member space and just unclicking a few, checking off a few pages and removing a few things, and suddenly it was like nothing different. So that was super easy too, to pivot and change things, which was cool. So let me go to my notes, make sure we're on pace here. So yeah. So I launched it and I was like, I really thought I was going to have like 30, just based on how people buy stuff from me in the past. Like I was expecting maybe like 30 members. Like I thought this would be sensational. And I had like 12 or 13 and I was like, this isn't jiving how I thought it would. So I downsized it, changed it, lowered the prices. And with that in mind, I sent an email being like, hey, this was like a month later. I was like, this membership is now $1. That was actually the subject line. I was like, Printerville is now $1. And I just talked about it like it was a new thing. I didn't say, hey, we changed it up. I was like, hey, it's now $1. You get first in line for everything. And, check out the other stuff if that's interesting to you. And I got, I think, 13 more members. And only 5 of them were $1 members. So now I have, and I don't want to show any client-sensitive data here. So I won't, but I can tell you I have 25 members. 5 of them are $1 tier. And so that's $5 monthly. I have 9 in the good tier, so that's 45 monthly plus the 5, that's 50 monthly. And then in the $10 tier, I have 12, so that's 120 people. That's 12 people, $120 monthly revenue, meaning 160 monthly revenue. And if we subtract the 21, that's 149 recurring monthly revenue. I'm very satisfied with that. That is pretty much where I hope to be, somewhere in the 25 to 30 members range. And it's still early. We've only been up for 5 weeks here. And that tweak seemed to do something good there. And so now this gives me a good base to get some data on what people like. I have a good membership base here now of 25 people that I can check in with and be like, hey, how can I make this better for you? What else would you be interested in? And I can incorporate that, edit it, change it, add new things, and remarket it again in the future if I want. So I'm really seeing like the benefits here of, with a digital product, right? The pivot ability is really cool because I can pretty much put on my calendar, hey, check in on this on the membership every quarter and see if there's something you can do to make it cooler or change it and then suddenly there's a new thing to explain and sell, which is amazing. And can just be an ebbing and flowing kind of thing, which is cool. Unlike, a shirt where it's like, hey, if you don't like this design, I'm just gonna have to discount the shit out of it to finally get rid of it off my shelf. So I can see it working in tune with everything else, which is really cool. And obviously $140 a month, $150 a month is very helpful to me. And I'm sure you can only imagine what that would do for you. I mean, that pretty much covers my tech stack, maybe. I can discern that in a moment. Yeah, I want to give you some real perspective here. So I am going to find this number for my tech stack. My current tech stack is, well, I'm trying to figure it out. There it is. One moment. All right, my current tech stack is, $207 a month. So it's almost covering my tech stack, and in that sense, it's really helpful. And there's a number of ways you could apply this money and see how it would really help you out. But you can see the path, to how this could do something great for you. So how long have I been going here? I want to give you till 2:10 because we were a little late here. So, I guess what I'll do is, we maybe have some questions here. You can feel free to ask questions. I do have the YouTube video and the Facebook video here open if you want to ask questions. But before I dig in, if you're watching, you got some questions, feel free to drop them, and I will absolutely answer them starting soon. But before I do that, I just kind of want to leave off with my little lecture portion by saying, for context, just to wrap up everything you saw here, like, again, this is coming from, I had 1,200 customers at the time of this. I had 2,200 email subscribers. And I'd been, $3,000 monthly revenue that I was already pulling in this year, pretty much a month. And, that scale had produced, after tweaking and all that, produced 25, recurring subscribers. So if you're looking at this and being like, I'm ready for this, maybe you could very well outpace everything I did here and just have a sensational, maybe this is like just the way you do this and the nature of your audience and the way you've done your marketing. It's like really lends hand to doing a great membership, and maybe you just kill it and you get 50 subscribers out of the gate and you're a smaller artist than me. But I do want to just say that for perspective. Like, if you're wondering what did it take to endear 25 people enough to pay on a monthly basis, I am kind of at this scale. So do be aware of that. And, I think that's just important to reference that on top of just my attitude about this, right? I think my curmudgeonly kind of, this is, useless and probably stupid attitude probably contributed to me making a suboptimal version of it at first, and then figuring out, I should lean in and tune in more to this. So yeah, I hope you just learn from my lessons here. I learned my lessons, and I hope you've learned from them too, or can. But I hope this just gets you thinking like, okay, if I do everything else the Indepreneur way, and I'm running my own ads, and I'm building my own sales pages, I'm sourcing my own merch, why wouldn't you also like keep it entirely in-house, right? Like, why would the membership be the one thing you're like, I outsource that to Patreon? Just never give up your domain. Always be like, this is my situation, and I'm always going to build in it, build on top of it. And as you get to this region, I would say don't compromise. Don't compromise and be like, well, the one thing I kind of screw up is, the one thing I kind of hand the keys over to my kingdom is for Patreon. It's like, why? You don't have to, and you could do it better. So that's kind of that situation there. So if you have questions, please drop them, and I'm happy to go back into my assets here, if you're curious about specifics. And I know that Andrew has dropped some cues, so we'll talk about, we'll hit on YouTube here first. Not sure if Levi Christ is watching still, but hello and thank you. Folks like them. Don't know if you're still watching. Hope you are. Alana Lynn Ramaj. It has started 40 minutes later. I know. I'm sorry for the late start. And Amanda Duncan. Hey, we love Amanda Duncan. I mean, who doesn't, right? All right. Now, Andrew says, curious, how many people are on your mailing list and what percentage of them signed up for any of your membership tiers? Yeah. So, Andrew, I did mention this as you intuited. I have about 2,200 subscribers. Actually, no, I don't. I have 1,700 subscribers. 500 of them are unsubscribed, but they're on my drip. So I think 1,700, 1,200 of which are customers. And so I have 25 members, which means, what is that, 1% or something? 25, 1,700 divided by, or 25 divided by 1,700. Yeah, 1.5% of my list converted to this subscription-based thing. Now, again, as I mentioned before, I had no expectations, so that could be great. It could be really shitty. I'm not sure. In my mind, I might have had something more like a 5%, But the thing about this to recognize is that this is a product I've never messed with before. I've never really done digital products before, and that's its own beast and has its own avatar. There's people who are like, love you, will buy every album you do. I will buy the deluxe version of it. I will spend $200 a month on your merch, but I will not join your Patreon just because that bores the hell out of me, which is me. That's me. So, I don't know those conversion rates yet at all. It's no man's land for me with digital products, knowing the conversion rate there and what kind of, as I confessed, like what to offer as well. So we're talking 1.5 of them, 1.5% of my whole list converted. Now, I think, 25 divided by 1,200, I believe that everyone on the membership has bought something before. I think it's only Ascension people that actually did it. I don't think I have someone who opted in for the membership and they had not bought something from me before. And when we look at that number, it's 2%. So 2% of my affirmation list converted. Do I know how these stats compare to Corinne's sales versus email list subscribers versus membership? No idea. Don't know Corinne's numbers off the top of my head, nor at all, actually. But if you want to, I'm curious to ask. I actually haven't talked to her about membership stuff, but now that I've been moving on it a bit, curious to see how she's doing. I imagine it's probably insane. It's probably like tons of members, tons of money. And hers seems very robust as well. But yeah, I'm interested to connect with her on membership stuff because I really hadn't talked to her about it, and I have more to say about it now. Devin Bridges says, seems like this is a great next step for people who already have a foundation built up. Yeah, I agree. And again, I think the context is important that I gave. Like, I'm not a baby artist, but I'm also not Corinne, So, and in my position, doing a membership maybe kind of haphazardly at first, and now starting to see the merits of like, ooh, how do I make this really, really correct and cool and fair? I'm in shipping it, the first iteration of it. I'm seeing that more clearly, how I can shape it down and make it better and have more of a passion for it. All of these things contributing to the way that it's worked for me. Like, even with all that in tow, 25 members. So if you're looking at this being like, I ran an album launch, I generated 40 customers and haven't really done anything in a year, you might not be ready for a membership, but you also might be. The other thing about this member space thing is that it's $21 a month with our indie deal. And if you're fine to lose that $20 a month, then you are, you may as well take the risk and figure it out. And all you need is $20 a month to pay for itself. So if you get 2 or 3 members, you're probably good, you know? So that's the other thing about member space or just a digital product like this is that it's hard to lose on it, you know? So I would say that, you know, if you're ready to commit to it and you have a kind of cool understanding of how you would do it, then and you have a few customers under your belt, more than a few, you know, I mean, keep this in mind. 2% customer rate for me. Yours might be much better. But if we assume that, then it's like 40 customers times 2% is 1 subscriber on your membership. So you might want to look more for 100% or 100 customers, in which case you get 2 subscribers, right? So just keep that in mind. When's the right time? You might find that that it may be ahead of where you're at, maybe it's behind where you're at, and you should have done it long ago. Devin says, got an ad the other day for a service called Special.tv, video on demand service that creators can utilize to put videos up behind a paywall that someone would pay for monthly. You pick your prices and all this other stuff. Got your wheels turning. It seems like they're targeting YouTubers and podcasters. However, looking at what you're showing here, you can probably provide that same thing on your own and not have to give 10% of your channel proceeds away. Yes, Devin, and like more than that, I mean, they're charging for a paywall. Videos behind a paywall. You can do that. You can do that with like nothing. Just an unlisted YouTube video and hosting it on your website on a secret URL or something. Like, it sounds like, why would I ever pay money to do that shit? That's like very bare bones, dumb shit to to implement. So yes, and I know you're not saying, hey, this seems like a good idea. You're saying you got the gears turning. Yeah, I mean, gating, that's just gating content is all that's what's going on. And a membership is really just, hey, we gate content and we can link it to an account login that the fan can make, which is very nice, very simple. But yeah, the concept of gating content should not be what this is about, right? Like the whole buddy system is there's an element of gated content all throughout, right? Like you only get certain things when you're on the email list. You only get certain things when you're in affirmation. You only get certain things when you're in education, and there's gating going on in between each of these stages. And if you've been using your website correctly and leaning into that and learning how to use that stuff, a service that's like, hey, give us your YouTube link and we'll hide it behind a credit card field should be like disgraceful to you. You should be like, I can't believe you offer me that. Gracie says, why did I choose MemberSpace over Squarespace? Gracie, I didn't. I chose both because for MemberSpace, you have to use a website builder in parallel with it. I don't know if you meant to say MemberSpace or if you meant to say, why did you choose something over something else? Because you take Squarespace and or Wix or WordPress, and then you take MemberSpace and you install it on your site. And then once you do that, you can use the MemberSpace app or the MemberSpace website to be like, hey, let me, turn on this page, turn off this page, and this costs this, and I want to put this sign-up link there on my Wix or whatever. And that's how that works. So they work in parallel. Why did you use... Oh, sorry, Gracie. Why did I use MemberSpace instead of Squarespace's new integrated member area? Now, I don't know, Gracie. I did briefly look into it. And where do I want to go for this? I briefly looked into it, Gracie, and so briefly I can't even remember what my thought process was. I remember being like, I just remember being like, I'm committed to MemberSpace, and I want to work that, I want to try this indie deal and see if that's cool and be able to do a ground report on it. So that's part of it. But I think I did look into the pricing. Squarespace membership. And maybe that turned me off. I'm not sure. Member areas. Let's see what's going on. How much is it going to be? Oh, I'm not going to do all this. I'm just browsing. Let me do... Am I already here? Yeah, I was. Crazy, something about it. It was like, I don't remember, and I wish I knew offhand. It was something like the email connection. Like, member space has a drip option. Or, what am I saying? Member space has a zap. Is Zapier compatible? And I think there was something clunky about the member areas that I was like, I'm just gonna, like, I don't want to figure out how to get the emails in the right area when I know member space can just do this with a Zapier connection. And then it could have been the pricing that really scared me. I'm not sure. Pick your starting point. Pricing plans. Okay, so here's the other thing. This was kind of the key. As you can see here, a number of member areas, 3. It was $18 a month with a 4% transaction fee. Unlimited members, no ads, offers. This is pretty comparable to MemberSpace. MemberSpace was $21 for us for 3 member areas. So I looked at this and I was like, one area is 7% transaction fee is ridiculous. Like, that's unusable to me. You know, I need 3 member areas at least. So I remember being like, I'm going to have 3 member areas, and it's $18 a month for 3 member areas. As soon as I'm like, it's time for a 4th area, I'm way out of rank for MemberSpace. MemberSpace, I can do unlimited. I can do so many protected pages. It's just, I think they're really kneecapping kind of the functionality here so that to keep it in the box and charge this way. But I looked at this and I evaluated it as like $3 more a month for like, you know, more member areas and the Zapier integration and stuff like that. That alone was like, I'm going to start with MemberSpace and see if I like it. So I think that's pretty much what happened for me there. But thank you. I haven't tested it out. I considered it, or I did. All right, last question from Margot here. Hey, Jesse, thanks for all the insight. Are you able to run conversion ads to your membership site? I mean, do signups count toward conversions? Yes, they do. So that's the other thing, Margot. If I wanted to, which, again, I've been kind of in the middle of a refactor, so I wasn't entirely confident about it, right? My thank you page here, and let's just... On this thank you page, I have, in the advanced area, a purchase standard event firing here. So if anyone lands on the thank you page there, if I look at this Facebook Pixel Helper, I am firing a purchase standard event successfully. So that's pretty darn cool. So I could run Margot for purchases to that sign-up page as in a conversion campaign. Can't fucking do that on Patreon. Couldn't do that on the Squarespace integration either, for that matter. So when it just comes down to like, look, all we do is kind of spider your pages together and in the way you want to kind of connect them. Otherwise, entirely up to you what you put on here, how you code these, how you brand these. That is like key for me. And you can see right off the gate, like, yeah, if I want to run, and I ought to do that, don't I? You know, I could find a way to fire off purchase revenue data. I could find a way to fire off revenue data here so that, you know, if they buy a $5, it gives me that number back. Rather than the $10. I didn't intuit that off the bat. I just threw a purchase standard event on there. But I could absolutely do that. I'm glad you asked that. So you can see the benefits here, I hope. But very cool. It's time for me to go now. I hope this was enlightening. I hope you feel like totally equipped to crush your very own membership. Or maybe it's put in perspective and you're like, I was going to do that pretty flippantly and now I want to give it more thought. Or maybe you were like, you know, oh yeah, I was going to whip up a Patreon like tonight. And now you're like, do I want to do that? I hope this is giving you a buffet of options and knowledge. And I thank you all for being here. And I'll see you in the community. I'll see you around. And you all have a great rest of the week. Bye, 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 bye.
Talk to people and they'll try to shush it. Walking steep just makes it hard to push it.